This is a story time of how my mom tried to get rid of me and my little sister. While my mom was pregnant with my little sister, my dad died, so she started using a lot of drugs. Once my little sister was born, she lost custody of us, and we had a close family friend taking care of us. My mom was never allowed to be alone with us. She would only get supervised visits. She started fighting really hard to get custody of us again, and then she finally did. I thought she fought so hard to get custody of us again because she would do better, but instead everything was the same. But the day would come when I would find out why she tried so hard to get custody of us again. Since she had custody of us, she was able to be alone with us. One day she said she had a surprise for us and told us to get in the car, and she blindfolded us. We were still blindfolded once we got to our destination, and she told us that we would have to play a game to get our surprise. She was standing pretty far away from us, but we could hear her voice. She said one of her friends were behind us and we would have to do a trust fall to get the surprise. I was holding my baby sister's hand and I felt her grip get tighter. For some reason I got a weird feeling and I decided that I didn't want the surprise from her. So I took off the blindfold. When I looked behind me, we were on the edge of the top of a building. Am I wrong for bullying my little sister into losing weight? Growing up, I had always been relatively skinny, so was everyone in my family, my mom, my dad, my two older brothers, and even my little sister. As we grew up, my little sister started to gain weight, and she was the only person in my family who was gaining a lot of weight. At first, it wasn't that much, but it got to a point where people started making comments about it. Don't get me wrong, my little sister has always been drop dead gorgeous, but she found it hard to make friends, and as she got older, she started growing more interest in boys, but they didn't like her because of her weight. She was about to enter high school, and I know that high school can be brutal, and I didn't want her to get bullied, and I also didn't want her to have a bad high school experience. I didn't want her to not have any friends or to not get invited to parties all because of the way that she looks. So I slowly started making comments about how much she eats and how certain clothes didn't look good on her just to give her a hint. I love my sister to death, so I had to show her tough love. I know that it hurt her feelings and we got into arguments about it a few times, but eventually she started eating healthier and she would start going to the gym with me. And once she lost the weight, she became a lot more confident and started to fit in. Am I wrong for blaming myself for my father's death? When I was younger, my father and I were very close. I was daddy's little girl. Me and him did everything together. But one night, everything changed when he invited his friends over. They were drinking and watching a sports game on TV. It was the middle of the night and I was asleep, and him and one of his friends came into my room and they took advantage of me. I woke up when I felt their hands on me, but I pretended to be asleep the entire time because I wanted to think that I was dreaming. I was only 8 at the time, so I didn't understand why he did it, but I knew that it was wrong. Our relationship stayed the same for a while after, and nothing like that ever happened again, and we never talked about what happened either. But once I hit a certain age, I realized how wrong what he did actually was. I couldn't look at him the same anymore, and he noticed my feelings towards him were changing. We started arguing a lot, which we never used to do. I couldn't even hug him without feeling disgusting. One night when we were arguing, I yelled at him, "You and your friend touched me when I was only 8 years old. My life would be better if you were dead." He took his own life the next morning, and I can't help but think that it was all my fault. If you are wondering whether or not to hook up with your ex-boyfriend, here is a sign not to. One day, my ex hit me up again. Let's call him Jaden. He hit me up and he asked me if I was single. I said yes. He told me that he was single too, and honestly, I missed him and he asked me to hang out one day. I was super excited to see him again, and I was really looking forward to building our relationship over. He came over to my place and we talked for a bit. We watched movies, we cuddled, we kissed, and we did other stuff. The other stuff went on for hours, and I mean hours, because we had not talked to each other for 3 whole years. We broke up a really long time ago, and once we reconnected, we could not keep our hands off of each other. We cuddled and watched movies for the rest of the night, and eventually I drifted off to sleep. I woke up in the middle of the night to him getting dressed, and I asked why he was leaving and where he needed to go because I really wanted him to stay the night. He says he can't miss this wedding that he's supposed to go to early in the morning, and I understood, and I asked him who was getting married and to tell them congrats. He said thanks. It's my wedding. And then he left. Story time of why you should always beware that your closest friend could be your worst enemy. A woman named Naomi was walking home alone from work. She was right across her house when she noticed somebody was following her. It was late at night, so she couldn't see what this person looked like, but she noticed that they had their face covered. All of a sudden, she felt a splash of some sort of liquid on her face. Immediately, she starts screaming and ran towards her house and starts banging on the door for her uncle to open since they lived together at the time. As she's banging on the door, she's screaming that her face is burning. Somebody had thrown acid on her face, which permanently disfigured her. I posted the pictures on my Instagram story since it might be too graphic for TikTok. Her uncle called the police and an ambulance came to take her to the hospital. They asked Naomi if she knew anybody that would want to do something like this to her. Surprising enough, she said her friend Mary of 10 years had said she wanted to throw acid on her one time when they fell out. When they questioned Mary, she claimed she didn't remember saying that to Naomi. While Naomi was in the hospital, Mary was texting her acting concerned, so it can possibly be her. Until police noticed something on CCTV footage. The person with their face covered who attacked Naomi was holding a purse that looked exactly like the purse that Naomi's friend always carried around. Part 2 of why you should always be aware that your closest friend could be your worst enemy. After noticing on CCTV footage that Naomi's attacker, who threw acid on her face, was holding a handbag that looked exactly like her friend Mary's, they took Mary back into custody and got a warrant to search her home. In the home, they found the bag, and the bag had damages that were similar to damages made with acid on that kind of material. They found out that Mary did this to her friend because Naomi called her ugly one time, and Mary took that personally. Mary knew that Naomi had dreams of joining the beauty industry. She was and still is a beautiful girl. That one time they fell out, Mary became friends with Naomi again just to get close to her, just to throw acid on her face because she was jealous of her. She premeditated this attack on her friend. Mary never wanted to admit that she did it. She claimed Naomi threw the acid on her own face. Obviously, the judge did not believe that and sentenced Mary 12 years in prison. Ever since the attack, Naomi felt as if she could never be seen as normal again. She says whenever she goes out in public, people react to her face, which reminds her of what she looks like. It took her a while to gain back her self-esteem, but now she has amazing friends who always remind her of how beautiful she is. Am I wrong for leaving my husband after I found out that he had cancer? So my husband and I had been married for about 10 years before we started becoming distant. A little while after, he actually cheated on me with one of my close friends. After that, nothing was ever the same between me and him. Now don't get me wrong, I still loved him, but things could never go back to the way they used to be. Eventually, he fell sick, started losing a lot of weight, having trouble breathing, getting random rashes on his skin. So we both agreed that he should go to the hospital to get checked. So he went to the hospital and had to wait a few days to get the results. A few days had passed, so he went back to the hospital to get his results. When he came back home, I asked him what his results were. He said everything was fine, there was nothing to worry about. Then he put his keys on the counter and hopped into the shower. A couple days before, I had lost my credit card. I looked everywhere for it, couldn't find it, but the only place I didn't look was my husband's car. So I grabbed his keys while he was in the shower and I went to his car to look for my credit card. I was thinking maybe it fell out of my wallet while I was sitting in one of the seats. While I was looking for the credit card, I found a folder from the hospital he just went to. When I looked inside the folder, there was his test result. It was a biopsy test that confirmed he had cancer. So I went back inside to confront him for lying to me. Come back for part 2. This is part 2 of the story of me leaving my husband after I found out that he had cancer. So after I found the positive test results in his car that confirmed he had cancer, I went back inside to confront him for lying to me. I was sitting down waiting for him to get out of the shower. But then I kind of decided that I didn't want to confront him. Our marriage was already going downhill and I was already having thoughts about leaving him anyway. I mean, he did cheat on me with my close friend. I know this might make me sound like a terrible person, but I didn't want to be there for him. I didn't want to be his main support system mentally or physically. And cancer is a lot to deal with. I didn't want to be in and out of the hospital, spending multiple days there, sleeping there, paying all of the bills myself. It would be too much for me. So I decided I was going to pack my things and leave without telling him when or why. And I mean, he didn't know that I knew he had cancer, so he wouldn't think that I was leaving him because of that. So I knew I needed to leave before he decided to tell me he had cancer, so it didn't look like I left him because of that. So the next day, he went to work, and then I went to work. As in packing all my stuff, and then I left. Afterwards, he kept begging me to come back, so I blocked him, and I haven't talked to him since.